I was cutting off the hocks, and I was just like, these are stunning. The marbling and the texture and the colour was just, it gets you excited to use and cook with those products because it looks so good.
The Crackling is the latest podcast from Deep in the Weeds, where we take you behind the scenes into the kitchens of Australia's best chefs.
If you do the kind of double cook with the spiking, it's crunchy, but like honeycomb almost, like glass, yeah.
And onto the farms of our nation's best producers.
Somebody came along and said, well, there's this opportunity back in Victoria, and it was pig farming. That's sort of how we got into it, and it's been fantastic.
The stories, the passion, the produce.
It was a real life-changing moment for me to see, the respect of an animal that is so deep and such a part of a culture.
The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with Porkstar. Listen and subscribe to The Crackling now on your favourite podcast app.
I think it's a very unusual time because it feels like it's very busy and everyone's sort of scrambling and, doing big days to try and, stay ahead or stay on top or keep everything turning, but it's just definitely not for the rewards of what it used to be like.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Timing, as they say, is everything. Although the pandemic has affected everyone in the industry, some, through luck or fate, were better prepared than others, at times unknowingly. A planned renovation, or a change of business model, or an offering that suits a takeaway model. But that's not to say these businesses, these people, have not had extreme challenges. Luke Powell is a co-owner of LP's Quality Meats and Bella Brutta. Luke, how are you going, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You made the extraordinary decision earlier this year to close LP's Quality Meats as a restaurant and head down the path of small goods, charcuterie and sausages just before the pandemic. That sounds like pretty good timing.
Yeah, we decided to close the restaurant. We were always doing the wholesale small goods since we've sort of been opened, and we thought it sort of looked like there was a bit of potential to grow on it, and we were sort of outgrowing the space, and we thought that, if we close the restaurant and lose half of it to build a small goods production area, that would be a good thing to do for potentially for growing the wholesale and the small goods side of the business. And yeah, like you said, it was just sort of impeccable timing in a way because we'd never sort of expected what to unfold to happen.
Was it a tough decision? LP's Quality Meats, you spent a couple of years building this amazing brand and a restaurant that, everyone loved, a kind of, smoked meats and all sorts of stuff like that we hadn't really seen before in that style. Was it a tough decision to change the business model?
It was, and I was obviously I'm still very attached to the restaurant, and we were sort of looking at an off-site facility to build it somewhere and big warehouses and factories, and it just seemed like too much of a big jump. And Joe, our business partner, just said, "Why don't you do it at the restaurant?" And that was terrifying. And I sort of thought, well, I don't want to close the restaurant and do that. But the more we thought about it, and we sort of started speaking with architects, it seemed to make more sense, and really reinforced the niche of the restaurant as well. Now we actually do have a meat processing area in the restaurant.
What's some of the changes involved in turning a restaurant into a facility like that? What's the process been like?
It's been a learning curve, I guess, and it almost feels, and I keep saying this, it feels like what was always meant to happen in a way. It's taken us 5 years to work out how to do this and how to grow that side of the business and how to build for that as well, because we were sort of doing it, and even the way we did the sausages when we first opened in the small goods compared to how we do it now is quite different. And yeah, I guess the architect just hates us because it started off as a small room and it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it was half the restaurant, and he just thinks we're probably idiots. But yeah, it's ended up taking out half the restaurant, and it's functionally and the way it works is insane. Like having all the temperature control, we work in a 10-degree area now, and we had all these sort of temperature parameters for blending things before, and now they never get there because everything's so cold. And it's still learning, and I think it'll take us a while to grow into it.
You also have brought back the restaurant in a different way. You've got the wholesale side of things and the butchery, but you do have LP's quality meats back in a certain way. Can you tell us what it is?
So I guess now we've gone from 110 seats to 40 seats, 30 with the restrictions. And I think the original plan was when we closed that we were going to use it as a venue and perhaps do master classes or buy out some events. Once all this sort of started happening, we were sort of not forced, but I mean, we sort of floated the idea, and we needed to open just to get more revenue happening, because the wholesale side was not, just due to its timing, it wasn't enough to keep it up. So now we've sort of got 40 seats. The menu's completely different. We're sort of not leaning on the smoker so much for having a huge outlay of meat smoking away, and we've sort of got a charcoal oven that we use a lot more, and we've ripped out some of the bar, and there's a deli cabinet in there. So we're only open 2 services a week, just Saturday, Sunday, and people come in from 10 o'clock and can get a coffee and a sandwich and deli meats, and then from 11:30 we open up for service until 4.
What's been some of the challenges involved in creating a butchery and selling small goods, during this time?
Yeah, we were sort of planning on pushing the wholesale side of the small goods business, and Tan sort of, my partner Tanya, she sort of saw it coming a little bit. She was thinking that this was going to happen in Australia as well, watching what was happening overseas, and once everything closed, our wholesale side just completely dropped. There was nothing, and we still had 400 kilos of pork in the fridge and wondering what to do. And we just sort of did a bit of a backflip with which way we were going to approach it, because it was wholesale. We were planning on selling, the small goods and sausages to other restaurants and venues, and we decided that we had to process this pork, so we started doing these 4-packs of sausages and going a bit more of a retail direction, and that's what's kind of happened. And it was, thankfully, the deli in Newtown, the Continental, they took a lot of the sausages, and they were sort of the first retailer of the LP sausages. Mikey Nicole in there, he wanted to call it Home of the LP sausage instead of Home of the Martini. So, and even still, we're sort of we're sort of doing more retail now. We've teamed up with a distributor who's getting the products out to about 180, I think, retailers now, which is quite a lot. But still, it's still growing.
What's been the impact on Bella Brutta? It's a pizzeria you opened a couple of years ago now, and it just really took off as one of the best pizzerias in Australia. And I remember speaking to you early on in the pandemic that, the takeaway thing was putting a real strain on things, because people want to take away. What's been the case with Bella Brutta?
We again, Tan sort of saw it coming, and we thought we would change to takeaway before we actually got shut down. We're incredibly lucky because pizza is sort of easily adaptable to takeaway, and excuse me, and we decided to start doing takeaway and delivery, which was amazing, because we were sort of completely overwhelmed with support and orders, but it became a whole new. It was like a new business. It was like starting a new business again, just trying to maintain quality control, people's expectations, what the oven was capable of, just with the delivery and online ordering platforms as well. We just sort of struggled, because it was just, you fill the restaurant up with 80 people and that's that, and you cook the pizzas for them. But with the internet, it was just non-stop, and the docket machine's just going and going and going. And I mean, it's a wood-fired pizza oven. It's made to do sort of 3 or 4 pizzas through at a time, and it was a bit brutal. But the staff did an amazing job, and every sort of thing we had to do to stay ahead of what was happening, and they did it on a dime, and always did the best thing that they could to make it work, to make it successful. It was really the staff that adapted so quickly.
Earlier you mentioned that making sausages and doing the butchery side of things, it feels right and it feels like it's something that you were always meant to do. But your career arc is pretty extraordinary and a long way from that. You were once the head chef at Tetsuya's when it had 3 hats. And can you tell us about those days? What it was like working in that kitchen?
I always wanted to work at Tetsuya's. I'm originally from New Zealand, and when my boss in New Zealand used to have his book in the office, and I always thought what an amazing restaurant it was, and I came to Sydney and always wanted to work there, and ended up working with Martin Bennett, the Boathouse, and then went with him when he went back to Tetsuya's. Completely over my head, and just wasn't really used to working in a brigade that big. I think there was 25 chefs at the time there, and there was a few people who were there during that. There's one particular year, 2005, where there's a lot of guys who have maintained incredible friendships with now. But it was it was an intense time, but it was brilliant.
What led from the world of Tetsuya's to do a smokehouse? What created the sort of spark for that journey? Because that's nowhere near Tetsuya's.
I wanted to go to. I was doing stages, and I wanted to open something, and I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I organised a stage at Blue Hill at Stone Barns in upstate New York, and I went there for a month, and they were incredibly kind to me and very friendly, and just said, if there's anything you want us to know, just let us know, and we'll show you everything. And they were sort of sending pigs away and to the abattoir and getting them back, and then they would break them down and turn them into sausages and hams and prosciutto and salami. And I'd never done any of that before, and did butchery at Polytech in New Zealand, like TAFE, and hated it. I wanted to be a chef, not a butcher, so I wasn't interested at all. And I just said to them, can you just show me all this? And they were, every day they would call me upstairs and we'd be making sausages and everything, and I just caught the bug. And then I sort of realised or knew that, okay, when I get back to Sydney, I want to do something a bit more, not I want to say real, but just I felt quite insecure in cooking as well. Like I felt like always working in dig restaurants or whatever, I couldn't probably bake a loaf of bread or make sausages or, roast a lamb shoulder. So I just wanted to do something a bit more hands-on, I guess. And so we when I got back to Sydney, I spoke with Elvis and Joe from Porteño, and told them what I was thinking, and Elvis sort of turned around and said, yeah, we're doing it. And I said, oh, what, you guys are doing it? He goes, no, we're doing it, that's it. And that was it. So we started planning. Yeah.
What was that journey like? How do you go from sort of the tweezer world of Tetsuya's and a stage at Blue Hill, but creating a smokehouse is a challenge in itself? Yeah.
I guess like I was really excited to cook food that I was sort of so into. Like I was so excited to do that. It was more, the daunting part was the business side, and which Joe and Elvis completely took care of, I guess, and walked me through it, because I guess a chef trying to open a restaurant is an absolute disaster with leases and liquor licenses and rent-free periods and all this sort of stuff. But once the restaurant sort of opened, I had some really key guys there. Shannon DeBrasini was there with me, and there was only 3 of us originally. Kimmy Gastamere from Cherry Moon Bakery, and so it was the 3 of us, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, but just very, very different, and a lot of, again, a big learning curve, and just the outlay of smoking meat every day, and yeah, a lot of disasters, but a few successes, and yeah.
You've been making small goods from the early days and transformed the business into sort of what we were just talking about a bit earlier. What are the challenges in making small goods?
I guess the thing we're sort of struggling with at the moment, and particularly in a sort of unknown climate, is just the quantities. Like, it's a big outlay to order a lot of pork and and then it's quite labor intensive to process all the sausages and dry them and smoke them and pack them and box them up. But I guess just knowing what levels to sit on, because we just don't want to get caught out. And I guess as soon as we make them, it's eating into shelf life, and I guess that's a scary thing at the moment, how much to make and how much to outlay, because I just feel like, potentially we could be closed again, or
What's your mode of operation? Are you looking at sort of traditional recipes for salamis and prosciutto and things like that, or how do you approach making small goods?
Yeah, so we sort of all our sausage products are smoked and cooked products, so they're fully cooked through. We generally look for things that we've done over the years that we've really liked. Sausage, we've made all sorts of different sausage recipes, and I guess at the moment we've got 4 that are part of the range that are, I guess, our favourites. And for things like the salamis, we've experimented with loads of different spices and all sorts of things, and the best one is just garlic and black pepper. That's what we're sort of working on now, to try and branch out now and get a license to produce dry cured small goods. So we're going to focus on doing a saucisson sec, which is just going to be the only dry cured product we're going to do, and just try and focus on that and do it well. And but yeah, that's it. Garlic and black pepper. It's always the best one.
What's your favourite to make?
I think salami is definitely my favourite thing to make. And all those dry cured products, like it's seriously meat and salt and time, and you can end up with something so incredible by hanging something up and complex and sort of controlled rotting of meat. But it can be something quite extraordinary.
You've had a really interesting period of time changing a successful restaurant into a butchery and a pizzeria that's sort of adapted quite easily to the takeaway model, but you've had personal challenges with your partner Tanya. What's this last couple of years been like for you guys? Pretty rough. So obviously Tang has been going through breast cancer treatment, and going back to when sort of LP's reopened as a restaurant. Tan was just about to have surgery when we decided we had to do it. But it's been quite a lengthy time. But I guess through it all, I mean, the main thing is she's okay, and I don't know. It's been hard. How have you dealt with the pressures during this time?
I think the main thing is just the staff. It's been a lot easier with having amazing people around us, and the staff everywhere, like Bella and LPs. There seems to be a super ingrained family spirit and support for each other, and I think they've gone to great lengths just to make sure everyone else is okay as well. Like, everyone's sort of checking on each other, and I think overall there seems to be a good spirit within our little group. But I mean, it's obviously been tough and as for everyone, and but I guess just I guess everything's been okay, but mostly because we've all been in it together and everyone's been working together, and we've been lucky that we've been able to keep everyone on.
A little earlier you said that it feels right doing small goods and this new phase of your career. What do you love about it?
At the moment, like it's amazing because we sort of do small goods production Monday to Friday, and the restaurant is LP's is open just Saturday, Sunday lunch. So we sort of have a week to think about what we're going to cook, and then it becomes quite a diverse working week as well. So the guys do 2 days production and 2 days service, and I think just being able to make a product that has a larger reach than the restaurant. I have friends sending me photos of the products popping up in all sorts of random places, and it's amazing. Like the guys it's funny when we sort of get a photo from someone and we sort of show it around. It's really cool to see the stuff out there and to make these nice products and to get them out.
How are you feeling at the moment with Melbourne's lockdown? And you sort of mentioned earlier that Tanya sort of saw this coming a lot earlier than a lot of people, and you guys were kind of ready in a way. But how do you see the state of the industry moving forward?
It's a real worry. Like I feel like it's a disaster. It seems like a disaster down there, and it's terrible. Like just hearing stories from people down there, and I'm hearing about people not being able to, do it a second time and stuff like that. Like it's quite scary. And I think for here, I mean, it's a cliche, but I guess it just everyone's sort of. I feel like everyone's very on edge, and I feel like we're on a sort of on a knife's edge, waiting for something to happen. But I mean, even every announcement, you sort of notice a huge change in what's going on, and I think everyone just needs to, I don't know, be careful. And like if we have to start wearing masks, wear the masks, and just keep hygiene super high, and even think that you get relaxed and you see people start shaking hands again and stuff, and it's just you just can't. It's pretty scary time.
LP's is a kind of a hybrid establishment now. It's got the restaurant 2 days a week. It's also got the deli where people can take away small goods to cook at home. And it's also a facility that's producing it for wholesale. Do you think we're going to see more restaurants that are sort of hybrids moving forward to adapt to what's happened?
I think so. And I think I've seen some great things happen out of these times, like people having to adapt and change into other things in bakeries or, produce boxes and all this sort of stuff. Like I think to me, it just makes me think now that we can't rely on just the restaurant. Like I think we have to diversify, and we just can't be guaranteed that those people are going to walk through the door every night and fill the restaurant up to whatever limit we can fit. So I do think people are going to have to adapt and stay nimble.
A couple of weeks ago, I saw that you released a video on how to cook your sausages, and it kind of really surprised me. There were some things in there that I hadn't considered. Can you run us through that? Like, that was incredible.
Yeah. Okay, so we started doing the retail packs, and then of course we're getting tagged in a lot of photos that people were cooking the sausages online on the internet, and I just had this sort of thought. They're unusual products because they are fully cooked all the way through, and so they're quite dense. And there's not a lot of, without saying that it sound like they're dry, but there's not a lot of moisture, unlike a fresh sausage. So people were sort of cooking the heck out of them, and I think they were sort of burning before they were probably hot in the middle. So I think that's why we were getting tagged in these things, and I was like, oh my god, I think we might need to do a bit of a video. So yeah, we sort of put this thing out, which we do in the restaurant. We sort of poach them first before giving them the sizzle, just so they heat through thoroughly and plump up again, and then they can get the whatever it's going to be, a pan or a griddle or a grill or beforehand. But hopefully that helps. we're sort of talking about doing more vids.
Oh, cool. Well, what are they going to be?
More, I think, just how to use the sausages. I'm pretty bad when people ask me, what do I do with the chorizo, or what do I do with the boudin? I just eat it, like a bit of bread or something. But I think we need to be a bit more creative with our information. So we might have to start working on some more options.
What's been some of the challenges during this time running these two businesses? Has it afforded you any time off, or have you been really hands-on because of the scale of what's going on?
I think it's a very unusual time because it feels like everyone, myself and everyone, feels like it's very busy, and everyone's sort of scrambling and doing big days to try and, I don't know, stay ahead or stay on top or keep everything turning. But it's just definitely not for the rewards of what it used to be like. It's just, I guess it just feels like a scramble. That's basically what it feels like at the moment. Everyone's sort of just trying to tread water.
Just before, you were saying about you get nervous when someone asks you what to do with a chorizo or a sausage, and you like to just eat them. But what do you love about restaurants when you go out to dine?
Oh, like that's I miss it so much. Like going out, and I just love lunch. I love going out for lunch. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why we decided to open LPs just for lunch only. I guess you can eat too much and drink too much. You don't have to go home too late and go straight to bed. You can have a bit of a chill out afterwards. Don't skip dinner if you're too full. And but yeah, I think, I don't know. Even if you go out now, it does feel a bit unusual going to these sort of restaurants that are spaced, and it's sanitizer and logging in, and it's weird, very weird.
As we move forward and get past COVID, what are you most looking forward to?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It seems like it's a long way off, but I think, probably going out for lunch, I think. Big catching up with everyone and being able to travel again, and that's seems like we're in our little bubbles at the moment, but and even my family, all my family's in New Zealand, and everyone wants to catch up, but just got to wait it out a bit longer.
Well, mate, it's always amazing to chat with you, and I really appreciate your time today. Good luck with the small goods. Hopefully they'll be in Canberra sometime soon, and we'll talk soon.
Yep, all good. Thank you, mate.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we share the stories of Australia's hospo community, suppliers and producers in search of hope during this pandemic. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.